Hello to all my dark passengers out there, you Lady Vengeances, can't forget the Trinity Killers and the Bay Harbor Butchers. Yes, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome here. My name is EJ and we are talking about Dexter Resurrection. It's been a great season so far and episode 5 keeps up that trend. We are talking about, I can't believe I'm about to say this word, murder horny? Back in the New York. Like I said in the beginning, I've really been into Dexter Resurrection. Truly, I think this is the best season of Dexter we've had in quite some time. I was not a New Blood fan. I was actually a big defender of Original Sin, but this feels so Dexter-like, and this episode, again, keeps up that trend. This is such a fun episode. It's quick, I think a little bit quicker than I would have liked, especially after last week's episode was a jam-packed full meal of an episode. This felt like a good snack, but also watching these episodes, it feels like they work together in a perfect group of 3 episode releases. I have seen the episode after this, episode 6. I've seen it in advance. My goodness, my review will be coming out for that next week. We will talk. But yeah, overall, I really think the first 3 episodes told its own complete story, and episode 4, 5, and 6 also tell its own story, and I really like that this season has been constructed like that. It makes it such a good viewing. I think it's going to make even better viewing for people who see it later on in a binge, but for us weekly viewers out here, I've been having a great time with this. I truly love Dexter Resurrection, and Murder Horny is just as good of an episode, if not just as good as the first 2. I think episode 4 is truly the best episode we've had so far, and it's gonna take a while for them to really kind of combat that episode and be better than it, because this episode is good, but that one was just so damn fun. But yeah, I like Murder Horny. I like what we do with the story here. I was surprised what we did with the Emilia character. Harrison and Dexter linked up, and it wasn't this hallucination. It wasn't a vision like some of us thought. It was such a good moment. I really had I had a lot to dive into with this episode. I thought it was going to be kind of a quick filler episode, and there was some stuff that, like, what's going on with Leon? Why does Charley also work at a school, but she's a lawyer? Like, what's going on there? There's still some things here that I did feel were there to just kind of be answered later on, but I'm happy to be, I'm happy questions are being presented for this season. It could have just been a straightforward, here we go, here's Dexter reuniting with his son and taking down a group of killers in a club, but it's more than that, and I'm interested, I'm into the characters. I really want to see what happens with Charley, like her visiting her mom. Is there a reason that Thurman is such a big part of the season? Is she going to end up being a bigger role than Leon will be? I was surprised what we did with Lady Vengeance and the Mia character here. Again, this season is taking me by surprise. I like what's being presented here, and I just can't wait to see how it all unfolds as we go on from for episode 6, 7, and the rest of the season. The episode begins, and wow, Harrison reunites with his father. It is the reunion that you expected. It's really awkward at first. I like when Harrison calls him, like, Michael Myers, or refuses to say the word Jason Voorhees. Like, girl, you know who wears the hockey mask. But yeah, I like that Harrison is just like, what are you doing back here? Like, I killed you. What is going on? What's happening? And then we get a little bit about, Angel, how Dexter calls him his white whale, where he's going Captain Ahab. He's going to figure out what Dexter did, and he's going to bring him down. But then there's a wrench thrown in that plan later on when we find out the new killer for the Ryan guy. Oh yes, there's a lot going on here that I thought was interesting in this beginning of this episode was super jam-packed. The reunion of Harrison and Dexter went awkwardly, but I do think there's an interesting bond between them. I actually enjoy them more here than I enjoyed them the first time around in New Blood. I think the chemistry's gotten better with these 2 actors. I just think Harrison as a performer, the actor behind it, has just gotten so much better. I love his character. I believe his character in, this conflicted nature where he was about to go snitch on himself. Like, he was truly about to, do something that Dexter never would have done, and Dexter sees that, and it's interesting that Dexter notes that, maybe he's not like me, and how that also reframes Dexter's mindset on this. I thought it was a really good intro. It really was a powerful moment, and it wasn't what I expected, I think I wasn't expecting it to be as awkward as it was, but also still feel some warmth, which does help the later on of the episode, where they kind of start bonding over, and Dexter explains all the Rita stuff to him, and I'm like, oh, ooh, I like what's going on here. It's refreshing, it's good, and to see Dexter in this point where he doesn't feel as kind of just a one-note character, which I know Dexter is a serial killer, and there wasn't a lot of nuance to him early on, but then they added nuance to him with the Deb stuff, and I'm like, whoa, not what we want, not what I asked for. Please, let's get back to the basics. And this got back to basics, but it also added some new dimensions to Dexter that I thought was great. Harrison as a child, he had an interesting thing for. Reuniting with Harrison in New Blood was interesting, but now here I really feel the bond between them two. You know what? Let's just get rid of the Leon and Charley stuff real quick. Leon is doing an interview that he ends up rewatching multiple times. It seems like he's really obsessed with the interviews and the questions that he was given, especially when Miss Leslie Stahl, what a cameo from an icon here. Yeah, Leslie just is basically like, can we talk about this? Let's talk about your childhood. Oh, you donate all this money, but you don't want to talk about it. It's interesting to see him try to pretend to be modest, and we've seen him later on be very into his collections and very braggadocious. So it's interesting to see where Leon's going. We don't really get too much of him here, besides recording the interview, saying what he said about a bit of a backstory, about how he lost his parents, and how he really thanks the people who saved him. And then we see him watching that interview kind of in a critical way, in a obsessive way. That's interesting to see. We also have Charley here. She visits her mom. Yay. Like, I don't know, Charley had more personality in this episode than she's had the rest of the season, so I definitely do appreciate that, seeing her with her mom. And then later on, she ends up meeting Mia. In the mom scene with her mom, she talks about being a teacher. In the scene with Mia, she talks about, oh, I went to Harvard. What's Charley's story? What is going on with her? She is so mysterious. And again, I've seen bits of the trailer where, the overall season one where they talked, or where they showed her kind of going after Harrison. What is going to go on with her? It's interesting to see how she's formulating now, because I can see a lot of people not liking her. She's a very cold character that doesn't have a lot to offer, but I knew that there was something underneath the surface, and underneath the surface, and this really did kind of crack that a little bit. I'm really starting to see what Charley has to offer, and I think she's going to be one to watch this season. The whole chunk of this episode, though, was all dedicated to Dexter going on a date with Mia. Multiple dates. Actually, they go bowling, and then they have drinks later on. Yeah, Dexter tries to go out and connect with someone. We have Harry basically being like, no, I don't trust her, and Harry ends up being right, because we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, Dexter, kind of goes on a whim and starts to kind of connect with Mia, and maybe he thinks maybe I can have a killer friend. But we also know that, Prado wasn't one for you. We also know that Lumen wasn't one for you. So what are you doing, Dex? We knew this wasn't going to work. And yes, as Dexter had a great little cute daytime bowling date with her, he later on meets up with Mia, and she's like, yeah, basically everything I said earlier was a lie. I like killing people. I don't really just do the Lady Vengeance gimmick. And he's like, oh no. Oh no, he had a murder boner. He was attracted to the fact that she had a code, but the moment she drops her pretendness, her I don't have a code, he is so thrown off by it, and he's so shooketh by it. And it's just so interesting to see that Dexter has to kind of reformulate his plans very quickly. We do see him maybe possibly go attempt to kill her, or put her on the table, but as Harry said earlier, in killing off Neil Patrick Harris's character, what is his name? I know people liked him. The wig, burn the wig. I know people like him, but I forgot his name. Anyways, so Dexter's just like, ooh, I just killed him. I can't really kill her yet. That could really put some flags on me, and I don't want that. So Dexter does something he's never done before. He calls the cops on somebody. Like, he calls the cops on this woman. I'm like, Dexter, you've never done this before. This is truly unheard of territory for him, where he snitches on someone and puts her into the legal system. As we're going to see later on, that's why Charley visits her. She might be getting out a bit earlier, and the legal system is corrupt. But yes, Dexter takes a big, bold move, snitches on her with his horrible New York accent. But sure, you know what, Dexter? I'm not going to fault you on that, because Dexter was thinking. Do you know what he also did? He planted the watch that was Ryan's, that Harrison killed. He planted the watch on her. So this rapist man has now been caught in the Lady Vengeance thing, and it's like you see the cops are like, oh, maybe that's not where we go. We see Angel shook by this information, because he swore he has his little Pepe Silva mood board over there where he's just like, it's him, and it's just like, no, maybe it's not. He's not that dumb. Angel's actually been doing a good job, but he's kind of shook by this, and this leads Harrison to wanting to reconnect with Dexter. This is a big thing that Dexter did for Harrison, and it's a bold move, and I think Harrison recognizes that and feels it, and they're able to connect a bit more here. Dexter tells him the truth about, I connected with a Trinity killer that led to your mom's death, and I'm so sorry about that. So all of that was really, really interesting, and I thought that the end of this episode, it truly does end with Charley and Mia, but that the end with Dexter and Harrison was like, ooh, where are we going to go now with these two? It adds another reason to watch the next episode. This season has been so good with wanting to continue the story. Each episode ends and you're like, I want more. It's so awesome to see. It's so refreshing, and it's why weekly TV works so well, because you want that hunger, you want to watch more, and I'm happy with that. And the way this ended, it may not be the most explosive ending, but you get enough that you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Well, that is it for my breakdown of Dexter Resurrection Episode 5. What did you all think of the episode? What did you think of my review? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. I have to say quickly, you guys turned out last week for the Dexter review. It made me so happy to see all the new subscribers, to see people really interacting with it and really loving the season as much as I am. So thank you guys so much for that. It means the world. Make sure you guys are checking out my other channel, Flickering Myth. I've reviewed the new Naked Gun. We have interviews with multiple Dexter cast members. It is so awesome. So thank you guys all for subscribing to this channel. And if you guys are checking out my other channel, Flickering Myth, please, thank you guys so much for everything. So guys, thank you. Ooh, wow, so many thank yous. It's been awesome. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. Make sure you guys give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, and let's talk about this new episode of Dexter.